This podcast is brought to you by Penji. Penji is a creative subscription service that gives you access to pre-vetted, agency-trained creatives from all over the world. From graphic design to illustrations to social media management and web development, it's all included for one monthly price. It's time to say goodbye to the hassle of searching for top-notch creative talent. With Penji, you get quality and consistency delivered right to your inbox every day, carefully crafted for you by humans. So meet your new creative team today. Head over to penji.co for more and enter the coupon code located within the podcast show notes.
Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to the First 100 podcast. This is the podcast where we explore the journey of entrepreneurs, business and agency leaders as they share their strategies, challenges, and triumphs that led them to secure their first 100 followers, 100 customers, whatever 100 is. I'm your host, Daniela, and I'm Penji's partnership coordinator. I'm joined here today with a very special guest, Kelsey Jones. Hi, Kelsey.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for being here today. It's really exciting to have you. For anybody that doesn't know you, who you are, what you do, can you give us a little bit of a rundown of yourself?
Yeah, definitely. So, I am a content marketing strategist and I own a boutique agency called Six Stories based out of Kansas City. And I've worked with a lot of big brands like Salesforce, Ford, Contour Living, Moz. I was also the executive editor of Search Engine Journal for 4 years. So really involved in the SEO and content industry and just excited to share today.
Exciting, yeah. You have a lot of experience with content marketing specifically, right?
Yes, that's my expertise.
Um, I'm just curious, why did you decide to sort of dabble into specifically content marketing? I think in marketing there's like so many different avenues that you can take. Why did you choose content marketing?
Oh, well, so back in college, I had an English literature and creative writing degree. So writing's always been a big passion of mine. Whenever I would tell people that, they always asked me if I was going to be a teacher. And I'm like, no, I don't want to be a teacher, but I want to do something creative and with writing. And I thought I was going to do PR at first, but it just kind of led into marketing through an internship I had on campus. And I just really liked that. And with content marketing specifically and SEO, I really like the sort of intersection of data analysis and then the creative part of coming up with ideas as well. So I really like being data driven, but then also having a chance to come up with ideas and finding inspiration. So I think content marketing and tying in SEO with that has really fit my skill set and my interests as well.
It's kind of like a great in between creativity and also, data, right?
Exactly. Yes. And that's why I like it so much, I think.
So, in terms of actual metrics and data, I actually wanted to ask you, I think we have currently gotten so many different kind of, I would say, different ways to measure metrics and data that are given to us by social media platforms that we
Mhm.
didn't used to get back in the day, right? Like, you get analytics, you get demographics, you get a much more detailed analysis of the people watching content. But I think a lot of times, even though you have that information, it's hard for people to know what to do with it or what they even are looking for. What metrics do you focus on when you're measuring the success of content marketing campaigns? Or what metrics do you think people should be looking at the most?
That's a good question. I think it's mainly about what your goals are. So, every company has different goals for what they want to accomplish. Like I worked at some companies where all they cared about was traffic. They didn't care about sales data with their content strategy. I'm not saying that's the best thing to do or not, but I've also been at places where all they cared about was conversion. So, if blog posts were going out and they weren't converting into sales, they wanted to stop doing blog posts. For me, the ideal is in the middle, right? So, conversions, traffic, those are good things to look at. But you want to also look at ways that you're moving the needle that is going to collaborate and roll up to the greater whole. So one thing with content marketing strategy is it's really like a snowball effect of what you're doing. So, if we're making little gains in number of keywords that we rank for now, or, a blog post that we just published, went into Google Discover, Google News, and went super viral there. Like these are all little metrics and little things to look at that are telling me, okay, what we're doing is working. And looking at the success of your past content as well as the things that don't do well can help shape your future strategy. So I like to look at, besides the conversions and the traffic as well, time on page, click through rate. If people are visiting other sites on your other blog posts or other pages on your website, that's telling me that the content that you're publishing is engaging. So it's a lot of, I know, like you said, a lot of data to look at, a lot of facets to look at. But I think if you are seeing improvements in your number of keywords that you rank for and your traffic and conversions on a fairly steady basis, that's telling me that, what we're working on is performing well.
That's actually really interesting. And when it comes to actually executing, right, a content marketing campaign, I think a lot of business owners struggle with that because they are not necessarily into marketing. They're more into
Mhm.
like whatever business they have and running that, right? Or products that they're
Right.
making. And I think a lot of people also are not necessarily into social media, which you need to be into if you want to do content. Um, what is the best way to get started for with a content marketing campaign? How do you plan that? What is the best way for you to sort of work around something like this?
So I would say a lot of people getting started, they usually only have, a set amount of budget. And, a lot of new business owners or small business owners are working within a really small budget. And instead of thinking, oh, I'm just going to use an AI tool to write content for me, and that'll be way cheaper than hiring someone. I don't think that's the best way to spend your budget when you're getting started. I think you should always focus on good quality content that's written by people, or at least if AI helped you, it's highly edited by people. And so when you're getting started, I think you need to think about that. Like you can't automate everything. So the things that can be easily automated that don't need a human touch, I would urge you to do that. Like there's tons of great social media AI tools out there that will automatically pull excerpts from your content and create a social post for you, like whether it's an image or a quote that you can turn into a tweet. Or I have a podcast as a hobby called Story Shout, and I use a service, Buzzsprout, that will automatically pull excerpts from the podcast, and then
That's
you can
great.
share that
Yeah.
audio, yeah, on social. So I think that's a great use of AI, and that's also a really affordable option. Is many of those types of services are only like $20 to $50 a month, and it's really helping you automate and streamline your content marketing promotion on the back end, and then a lot of your efforts in the front end, or like when you're getting started are going to go towards the quality aspect of that. So, doing the research to see where your audiences are, where your competitors are in the search results. So, when I say competitors, I think a lot of people forget this. I don't mean your actual product or service competitors necessarily. Of course, that's part of it. But your competitors in the search results are also going to be other blogs, news sites, maybe industry news, maybe, you know, other sites like that that are going to be sharing related content about what you want to write about. And those are competitors as well. So looking at your competitors in the search results to see what they're already doing, running an analysis, content gap analysis to see what they're ranking for that maybe your blog or website isn't, and could you create content around that? And just also thinking about how you can position yourself as a thought leader in the industry. So there's so many different ways to do that. Um, whether it's sharing complete tutorials about how to do things, or maybe you have a really niche corner of experience that not everybody has in your industry, capitalize on the things you do really well, and then kind of expand from there.
Actually, I wanted to ask because you brought something up really interesting, and it's sort of you put AI for more back end stuff, and you start working on front end things, right? I think we've seen a sort of influx of a lot of businesses that I never thought I would see them. I guess that's the word, do content marketing. And it kind of baffles me because the other day I was on TikTok and I saw a TikTok from a local high school and they were sort of promoting their high school. And they were making videos about it. And I was like, why are they, it's a high school, like why are they making videos? And it made me question if this was really necessary because I mean it was a private school, so I guess they were trying to get students, but it was a very well-known school, so I don't think that they necessarily needed it. And I guess to me, it was kind of silly, and it made me question, like, is it really the best strategy for every kind of business to start to do content marketing when you think about how complicated it can be? Or do you think that it's something that is very much dependent on what kind of business you are?
That's a really good question, and I think you're right. Um, sometimes content marketing isn't gonna work for every type of business. Like, I had a client years and years ago that, sold commercial HVAC supplies, and so, like the huge air conditioners that are gonna be on top of, like, a movie theater or a huge building like that, and they wanted social. Um, at that time, I'm thinking that's not really probably the best use of your marketing because it's such a technical field, and you also have to think about where your audience is going to be. For a high school, it makes a little more sense for them to be on TikTok or social media, trending social media, because that's where their audience and their students are going to be. So in that place, it's kind of more about building a community. But if you are, a company that's a little more industrial or manufacturing or scientific, you need to focus on your marketing on where your audience is actually going to be. So, places like Facebook or Twitter might not be the best option, but niche
LinkedIn,
message, yeah, but yes, but niche message boards. I can't say the word niche. Niche, I don't know.
niche,
They,
like,
yeah, they like, if you're gonna be on, maybe you could be on an, industrial manufacturing message board or certain subreddits on Reddit that are gonna be where the people that are gonna buy your product are actually congregating and hanging out. That's where you wanna put money if you're gonna try to, spend time or effort on social media. Because you're right, it doesn't make sense for everyone to have a blog or everyone to have, a TikTok profile. Sometimes it's just not worth it. But if there's an opportunity to build a community and build an audience where it makes people feel like they're part of something, and that's where I think the high school is probably going.
the
They probably,
direction?
yeah, they may not think of it like that, but, if my kid went to a high school where they were sharing fun activities the school was doing or whatever, I might feel more loyal and more of a sense of community to that school and maybe less likely to leave than like a school that I feel like doesn't communicate at all or doesn't show what they're doing behind closed doors or isn't transparent about, things, their schedules or something like that. So I think it can work for places that you may think it doesn't. It just needs to have the right angle and appeal to your current customers and new customers as well.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I guess I didn't think of it that way. I was just kind of like, because it's a high school that's been around for years. I've known people who graduated from that school. Like it's a really old type of private school that has a lot of students, and I'm like, why are they making random TikToks? Um, and I think that also brings me to another point about content marketing, which is sort of the trends. For example, this particular high school, they were doing a lot of like TikTok trends that were cool for like young people. And I mean, it makes sense for like that's a community, like you said. But I've also seen a lot of businesses do that, right? Like they'll start social media, whatever platform it is, and then they'll start doing trendy videos or trendy posts or whatever it is that's funny or memes at the moment to get results. And I am curious about your thoughts of how successful or effective this strategy is, because I sometimes see them and I wonder how effective this is for you to actually turn this into a sale. Because the point of you doing content marketing is to not become an influencer, not to go viral, but for your business to grow, right?
Right. Right. I know. There's definitely been a lot of cringy, like, brands trying to capitalize on trends. And it's a really nuanced thing that not everybody can get. I think a lot of older generations may think, "Oh, what's the thing with Brat Summer? Do something on Brat Summer and it's gonna be, like, so popular." And it's like, well, if you're a company that sells locks. Like, we have a really cool company in Kansas City called Locks and Pulls, and that's literally all they sell are locks and, like, drawer pulls. But that doesn't really make sense to do, like, a post of their employees doing the Apple dance, from Charlie XCX's album, right? Like, yeah, like, you just it can be done in a funny way, but it has to be not forced, and it has to be, like, the people doing it have to get the joke, and I can't even tell the listeners or tell you how to do that because sometimes I'm not saying I'm an expert in that, but
No,
it's like,
yeah.
it can be done really well, but you have to get it and be, like, a part of the culture of it, and or your employees have to be a part of the culture of it, and if they're not, it just doesn't come across well.
And I think also because current trends and memes sometimes are very abstract, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Have you seen the dolphin one with the Zara Larson?
Yes.
That is so, like, random, like, for someone
Right.
to, like, how I don't even know how I would explain that to someone if I had to,
Yes.
like, go in and explain that
Yeah.
and be like, "Yeah, this is gonna get you a ton of views."
Right, but that's a good example of, like, if you get it, what it means, like, the serenity that comes from viewing a nostalgic, neon colored dolphin image, that is from Lisa Frank, like, and you can tie that to your business in a way that's really funny, then it works. And you aren't cringy. Like Chili's, the restaurant does that really well. Like, I'm sure if we went on their Instagram, there's the dolphin post and it probably says something like me when I order a triple dipper or something. And it's like it's funny because it totally played it off well. And they're making a joke about so many people love the triple dipper, and that's really popular on TikTok, like people going and ordering that. So they get the nuance of the context of the joke. But if like Locks and Pulls tried to do it and said, like me when I walk into Locks and Pulls, okay, like you're almost there, right? You're almost there, but not quite because that's too high level. But if it was something like me when I finally find the 3/4 inch lug nut that I've been looking for forever, like something super nuanced, that might go off a little bit better because there's so many layers to memes, which again, I don't think is a thing that, like, people who didn't grow up in internet culture totally get, that memes are, like, a big nuance, and, my brother and I have the same sense of humor, so we will send each other the most off the wall, like, unhinged thing, and I'm like, "I can't send this to anybody else, no one else will get it, but he'll perfectly get it," and I mean, I think that that's internet and meme culture as a whole.
Yeah, I agree. I think also it's hard to explain to someone who hasn't grown up on the internet and hasn't
Right.
taken an interest in it. I actually have the theory that in the future we're gonna start having like college classes of this.
Oh, yeah, or
You know?
degrees, a degree in, like, memology or
Yeah,
math.
because it's like I think it sounds really silly, and I think you sound like you're just like this chronically online person that has no life, and you're just always scrolling through memes. But there's a science to it, you know?
Mhm.
There's like a logic behind it that I think a lot of times people take for granted, and being able to take that and use it to your advantage is not I think a lot of people are still struggling to figure out how to do that because I think a lot of
Yeah.
what I've seen is a lot of brands trying to jump on that train because it's kind of like cool right now, but not working for them because it's just like you're not understanding it to its entirety.
Right. You're exactly right. Yep. I agree.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you about that. What is a particularly successful content marketing campaign that you participated or worked on? What did it look like and how did it stand out? Since we've been talking about what doesn't work.
So I know you had sent me some questions before to kind of look over, and that was one of them. And when I first read that, the immediate one I thought of was when I was at Search Engine Journal. Um, we went to PubCon in Vegas, which is one of the biggest digital marketing conferences, and we would go there every year and have a booth. I don't know if they still go now, but one year we created this multi-channel campaign where we had a little guidebook to PubCon, and it was like a little ebook, which you could get for free on our website if you signed up for our email. But then we also had actual physical copies of it that were like passport size, and I think it was called Passport to PubCon. And there were activities you could do in there, like free stuff, or little like if you see this and bring it to us, you'll get a freebie. But then it also had really useful information, and that was more of the content marketing side, like promoting certain speakers, and then we also sold ad space in there, and that actually did really well. And then we also tied in social media to promote it and show some of the excerpts from it, and it became this like hard to get exclusive thing that we ran out of at PubCon, and everyone was asking where to get it. They lost theirs, fell, could they give us get another one? And so I think that did so well because people are looking for something tangible online. And so I know when you talk about content marketing, people think of like, oh, we're going to do a series on Instagram and then a related TikTok video and then a blog post. And I think that can be part of it, but the ones that do really well have a unique attribute to it. So, maybe like the first 20 people that click on the special link in your email campaign are going to get an additional 10% off. Or I have seen companies mail a physical t-shirt to customers who write a really good review on their website. Um, Things that are like tangible, I think still do really well. Again, it goes back to what we're talking about. Like you have to pick something that people would care about or seems exclusive or is something people want. But I think like if you're going to go cross platform, try to always have a sense of like exclusivity or I need to find out what this is or a fear of missing out. And those usually perform a lot better than here is my new product, buy it now. Like there needs to be like something, beyond that.
Yeah, for sure. And I think like that is very important because I think in a world of social media where you have like random videos all the time, you need something to keep you engaged and want
Yes.
to
Yeah.
purchase or use or check at least check the product out, right? At least check
Right.
your business out. I think I see and I think there's so much saturation too because I now like I've seen so many sort of small businesses post on Instagram where it's like I'm overwhelmed with small businesses selling baked goods or selling candles or selling like this certain product and then it's like which one am I going to pick? They're all the same.
Right, right, and a lot of them probably literally are the same. If they're not made directly by the company, they're probably drop shipped or from, like, a third party. Not to say that's all bad or anything, but it's hard as a consumer to figure out what to buy if they all seem the same.
And the drop ship, I mean, drop shipping I think used to be a little bit more lucrative back in the day when it wasn't so oversaturated. Right now
Mhm.
it's like there's so many people doing it that, as a consumer you're just kind of like, well, I might get it from the source instead of getting it drop shipped and it might be cheaper.
Right. Yes, I know. I know,
Yeah.
that's what I try to do is find, like, "Okay, I see this on Amazon, could I get it from" if I know it's made in China, could I get it from Alibaba or like Temu? Because sometimes it's cheaper. But yeah, as consumers, it's kind of overwhelming all the choices we have for basically anything you could ever imagine
Yeah.
buying.
Yeah, unless it's like a really, really niche thing, and the likelihood of it being available in so many different iterations is really high. And so what you say about sort of having that call to action and that tangible, exchangeable thing makes so much more sense than just, like, hey, here's our donut shop. And then the other person's like, this is our donut shop.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Well, Kelsey, it's been great having you today. I've learned a lot from you. Actually, you gave me a new perspective on a lot of things, and I think our viewers will as well. For anybody who would like to work with you, learn from you, find you, the floor is yours to tell us where to go.
Oh, great. Yeah, I loved the combo. So my website is sixstories.com. And then I also have a podcast called Story Shout. And the first two seasons, we talked about things people are bad at to kind of destigmatize failure. In this third season, we are talking about like serendipitous encounters with people you don't know, just like random things that have happened. So it's been cool to hear those kinds of stories as well. And then I'm also still on Twitter at Wonderwell7 or Instagram at Wonderwell7 as well.
Awesome. Yeah, I will be adding your links to our description so that people can go in and find you. And anybody wants to work with you or learn from you at any point. Thank you so much for doing this.
Yes, thank you for having me.
All right, everybody, I'll see you on the next episode.
Bye.
You've been listening to Fully Managed, brought to you by Penji. Check out the show notes to learn more about today's guest, and to learn more about Penji, the human-first creative subscription service, head over to penji.co. And by the way, if you're still listening, it would mean the absolute world to us if you were to share this podcast with a friend, and of course, subscribe.